Hi everyone, thank you for joining me once again. Today we're going to talk about the transformation from an ancient mythical character into a character in Jewish stories within Jewish mysticism. Let's begin. Today we are talking about one of the most intriguing characters in Jewish mysticism called Rahab. Rahab was a character that was mentioned in ancient Canaanite mythology. In this mythology, she was known as the goddess of the sea. But even that is not as simple as it sounds. We know of a character called Rahab that is an ancient sea dragoness. It is common within the ancient areas of the Levant to see that in the very early days of the mythologies, the sea gods were actually goddesses. The connection between women, femininity, fertility to water and liquids presented goddesses of the sea as ancient sea creatures or dragoness-like goddesses that roam the very deep waters, either mysterious waters that are hidden somewhere underneath the earth or the very deep sea that we cannot reach. They were known to be very powerful, and some people were scared of them or worshipped them, and they had many names, either Tiamat in the Mesopotamian region, and in this region one of the names of those goddesses was Rahab. Rahab was a possible name of one of those sea goddesses in Canaanite mythologies. It became another name for the god of the sea called Yam. Until today in Hebrew, the word for sea is Yam. And she was a very powerful figure that could rule the seas, rule the earth if she wanted to from within the sea and created floods. And many times we see other goddesses such as Anat, the Canaanite goddess of war, fighting with goddesses such as Rahab. In the Bible, in the biblical stories, she is sometimes mentioned as someone who is connected to ancient sea creatures such as the Leviathan or the crocodile, the ancient Tanin, the alligator. So she is part of those very ancient sea creatures that roam the very deep seas, and she is a goddess, something beyond our understanding. As we transform into more modern mystical stories, all of those gods and goddesses are trying to find their place under monotheism. As they're struggling to do so, they sometimes find their way into the most mysterious and dark side of monotheism. In the mysterious stories within Jewish mysticism, we meet 5 mothers of demons and demonesses: Lilith, Agrat, Machalat, Naamah, and Rahab. Rahab is someone that is meeting those mothers on Mount Nishpe, a mountain which is ruled by those mothers. And from there, sometimes they consult and decide which of them is controlling each part of the world. And sometimes they also have battles and fight with each other. And Rahab, alongside Agrat, Naamah, Machalat, is known to be the commander of armies. And sometimes they fight each other, and you can hear them crying and yelling all the way down to earth before the battle. In folklore of Jews within Spain and Morocco, we know of demonesses that roam the seas. And in full moon nights, they used to come to the land and tempt the humans. We know the stories about Naamah that roamed the ancient seas, and we also know them about Rahab. We can also find Hanukkah menorahs that has the shapes of mermaids, sea creatures, mysterious creatures that are holding swords ready for battle. So all of those stories, they meet somewhere and might be originating from the same place. Their place is within the ancient mythologies, and they find the way into modern mysticism and modern folklore. They seem to be preserving many of their ancient characteristics. Connection to deep waters, their ability to fight, the fact they can do things that are greater than nature, they're supernatural. And if we want to follow their path, we need to start from a very ancient place and see where we find them in modern folklore today. In the Canaanite region, we can also find stories such as the Kartu. She was a sea goddess, a fertility sea goddess that fell in love with a human. One of the major goddesses in the pantheon made her fall in love with him, and once she realized that she fell in love with the human and had a daughter with him, she jumped into the water and turned into a fish. Her daughter will later on become the queen Semiramis that will build the great gardens of Babylon, and she will be worshipped by the symbols of the fish as a reminder of where she came from and her mother, and also pigeons or doves that were the one who raised her after her mom jumped into the water. So we can see that all along the Mediterranean Sea we find those stories from very ancient times until mysticism today. Do you know such unique stories? Do tell us, we want to know them. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time.